Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us again today in our wellness series that happens every Thursday. My name is Simran, and I am with Canopy. Canopy is a co-working space based in San Francisco. I will put our little website at the bottom in the chat box, so you can all take a look at it. Today, we have a great talk with actually one of our Canopy members, Stefania Romeo, who is the founder of Virra and is an empowerment coach. She also specializes, amongst other things, in human design. And today she's going to be giving an introduction into that. And then following that, we've got Serena Malkani, who's going to be leading a sand meditation. So Stefania, I'm going to let you take it from here.
Great. Hey everyone. Oh, am I, can you guys, am I coming through? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, cool. And so I don't need to take over the meeting.
No, you're good.
I can just share. Okay, cool.
Good.
All right. Hey everyone. Like Simran said, I am Stefania and I'm the co-founder of Virra, and human design is one of the tools that I use in coaching that I find really, really helpful, and a lot of people find to help understand the way that you can best use your energy and exchange it with the world around you so that things feel more in flow for you, so that you're not giving your energy to things that you're not getting a lot in return from, and so that you can be aware of conditioning that you have that's preventing you from calling some of the things in that you want in your life, and to help it feel easier. So human design is a science of the aura, and it can get pretty complex. But today, for the intro, what we're going to focus on is the energy type. So your energy type in human design. Ahead of this call, I shared, or in the invite, there was directions on how you can pull your human design type at mybodygraph.com. You're using your birth information. So if you haven't done that already, make sure to go to mybodygraph.com and enter your birth information, and then you'll find what your human design energy type is. So you're either a manifestor, generator, manifesting generator, projector, or reflector. I also encourage you to look, so because you're only one of 5 types, I also encourage you to look at other people in your life. Like maybe you want to look at your partner or your child. It's always helpful to understand what types of energy other people are operating within as well, who are around you. If you have your energy type now, it'd be great if you can enter in the chat what your energy type is, so we can get a sense of like what mix we have on the call today. So I'm going to get started. I have some slides, but I don't want this to feel too much like it's like just a full-on presentation. So I'm going to go back and forth between talking and sharing slides, and you guys share and let me know what you think. Generator, manifesting generator, a lot of generators. Okay, I'm a generator. And so we'll see everything continue to come through. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and share my deck. Feel free to share questions. We'll go throughout. And then after, I'll hand it over to Serena. Is Roy here? No. Okay. If Roy joins, he's going to be adding in some notes on deconditioning as well. Okay. Okay. So this is a quote that I find really helpful to help people understand why it's important to care about your human design and to care about your energy type. So think about it like this. Everyone is built in a different way to be lit up by different things in the world. But we have so much conditioning throughout our lives that tells us we need to be a certain way or fit a specific mold to have what we want in life. But that's not the case. So the biggest thing to take away from human design is that it helps you get rid of the conditioning or that energetic debris around that's filling our energetic aura, if you will, with who we think we should be or who we think we need to be or be like or contort into. So because when we're aligned energetically, we'll be able to call in the things that really are meant for us. So that's a little bit of the context, and we're going to get into it. So human design is a science of the aura, and it uses multiple ancient modalities as well as modern, and it brings together the I Ching, astrology, Kabbalah, the chakra system, and then quantum physics in the way that it's all laid out. So it's really interesting in that it brings together a lot of these ancient modalities into one way of helping you understand yourself. It's used a lot in business and personal, so you can really apply it to a lot of different areas of your life. And like I said, you reveal your unique genetic design when you use your birth time, place, and information. Your birth time, date, and place. Yeah, those are the ways that you find out. So your energy type in human design is a lot like, you can think about it how you would think of a sun sign in astrology. It's that first entry point of first starting to understand your design and what you're like. So while it in some ways is the most basic, it's one of the most important as well. So it tells you how you're supposed to be exchanging energy with people, opportunities, the universe around you, and then helps you understand what it feels like when you're not operating in the way that's energetically correct for you. So throughout, as we go over each energy type, we're going to look at what's called the strategy for each type. So that's the way you can maximize the way you attract opportunities and synchronicities, and how you can use everything that is naturally your preference, your likes, how you operate as guideposts toward calling in what you desire. And then the not self theme, which is what shows up for you and what you feel in your life when you're not operating in your design correctly, again, is kind of a guidepost to tell you, okay, like I need to make a shift, something's wrong here. And then in the interest of this specific session and the focus, we're going to talk about working style and how you can decondition, even down to some specifics for right now. So we're not going to go in too much detail outside of the energy type, but I want to give you guys this context because you probably pulled your chart and you see all these different things colored in and this maybe confusing graphic, and it's like, what does this mean? So we each have 9 energy centers in our body. So the combination and the order of the energy centers that you see colored in, which are defined, versus what are open, which you have in white, are what determine the energy type that you are. So without going into it in too much detail, at a very high level, a defined center means you're creating energy from within yourself in those areas of your life and experience. But when it's open or it's white, then you can ride the wave of the energies around you, of the environment around you. So when you have an open center, so a white center, it's important for you to know and pay attention to where you can consciously use external momentum to help you move forward or do what you need to do, but then remove it from yourself or give back that energy when you don't need it anymore. Okay, so we're going to go into each of the different types, starting with manifestors. And I'm going to turn off the slide so that this isn't too much presentation just yet, and then I'll bring them back and we'll do questions after each one. So manifestors are around 8 to 10% of the population. Let's see, I'm just going to look in this chart again. So we have we have 2 generators, two manifestors expressed on the call. Maybe some more not. So manifestors are about 8 to 10% of the population. They are trailblazers here to create movements, whether they want to or not. So a manifestor's energy is felt when they walk into a room, and it's the biggest aura of all types. Remember, human design is a science of the aura. And it's interesting because when you're born, you already emit that big aura and you have a bigness to you that you don't really have to cultivate. You might need to decondition it, but it's something that you naturally have. And the real work here is about embracing that bigness and resisting or deconditioning the urge or the conditioning to feel small or to shrink or be small to please other people or to fit in. So manifestors, we're not going to talk, there's a lot in human design about parenting and children, and we're not going to talk too much about that in the interest of time and the focus here, but it's interesting. Manifestor children, it can be really impactful either as for yourself as a child or if you're raising a manifestor child, it can be impactful to the people raising you. Because you gave birth to someone or you have a child that's supposed to be smaller than you, but energetically, they're actually the bigger one in the family. Energetically, they're meant to be the leader in the family. So, manifestor children are meant to or work best when they don't have a set bedtime. There are things around eating specific to raising a manifestor child, which we won't get too into. But think about that energetic bigness, even from a small the age of a small child. So conditioning for a manifestor can be coming from the place that, like, as a child, you can be told that you're a lot, you're too much, you can't do what you want, you can't be how you want to be. And so then manifestors can begin to shrink in order to fit in or people please and think that they need to stay small. It's interesting because up until a couple generations ago, almost every person that really created a big movement, good or bad, in the world was a manifester. So up until a couple generations ago, like almost every like big royal person was a manifester. The famous dictators in history, like Saddam Hussein, Hitler, Putin, were manifestors. And what they did is not a reflection of a manifestor, but the ability for them to be able to get so many people on board a movement is reflective of manifestor. And today we have conscious manifestors that I'll talk about in a little bit, so you can get a sense. It's really just all about rallying people. Oh, someone just said Trump. So Sarah said Trump is a manifestor with a defined ego. So there gives you a sense. But there are ways to be a conscious manifestor, and we're going to talk about that as well. So as a manifestor, everyone in your life is energetically looking for you to be the leader. So the main way that a manifestor can help people is to do what they're feeling called to do and share and express what their intentions are with others. People want to feel included with a manifestor. So keeping other people feeling included, like they're part of your journey. The people want to know what a manifestor is doing. And manifestors get urges and are meant to initiate and inform acting on those impulses and urges. And unlike some of the other energy types that you'll see, we'll talk about, a manifestor gets urges that you may not even really know where they're coming from. You just like kind of get an urge or feel an impulse, and acting on those is really going to serve you, because you don't need to wait for an invitation from the universe or a response, which we'll talk about in some of the others, which is unique to a manifestor. So there's an analogy that I find really helpful when we talk about manifestors, that it's a train analogy. So imagine as a manifestor, you are conducting a train, you're leading a train from point A to B, and you decide, hey, like I want this train to go from London to Paris. So I'm going to express that and let everyone know, like, hey, like I want this train, I want to go to Paris, and I'm going to bring this train from London to Paris. That's where we're going, everyone. There are going to be a lot of people that get on your train simply from you expressing that that's where you're going and that's where you want to go. You don't need to force or convince, but just expressing that that's what you're doing, and you're going to get people that are excited about that and are going to come on board your train or your movement. But if you're a manifestor who has been conditioned to shrink and stay small, or I see someone even said in the chat, like dumb yourself down, you may go out on that platform and poll everyone and say, where do you think we should go? Is this okay to go there? Where does everyone want to go? And poll everyone, but then you're never going to get anywhere because you're putting your power as a manifestor in too many people's hands. So it's really key to keep in mind that as a manifestor, you express where your train is going, and there are going to be people that get on your train and are really excited about it, but there's also going to be people who aren't for you and aren't going to get on your train, and you have to be okay with that because they're just not meant for you. So manifestors have a selective aura. It's sometimes called a repelling aura, but in the more modern and in the way I've learned human design, we think about it as a selective aura. So when you're sharing your truth, sharing where you're at, being unapologetic, the right people for you are going to come on your train and be part of your movement, and the people that are not for you are not going to. And that's okay. Embrace that you have a selective aura. So a couple of conscious manifestors that we can keep in mind today are Maya Angelou and Gloria Steinem. So they're great examples of people who brought people onto their movement, had such a passionate following of people in the space of civil rights and of the feminist movement, and I think are great examples of conscious manifestors. So I'm going to put this slide up again and then talk about some deconditioning, and then if there are any questions, and then we'll move on to the next one. Cool. So remember, the manifestor strategy is to inform, act on those urges and impulses and inform. Working style, we didn't talk about. Working style for a manifestor is aligned to those impulses. You're meant to work in sprints and stops because you're going to have those urges to act on something. And then when you're not having the urge or the impulse to act, can kind of stop or sit back or do something more passive. You're not self-themed. So when you know you're a manifestor and you're operating in a space that, or you're operating in a way that's not energetically aligned, you're going to feel anger, which can also feel like irritation or annoyance. So that's that. And I'm going to talk about some of the, some of the deconditioning that we can do right now. So one of the biggest ways, maybe the biggest overarching thing you can think about as a manifestor for deconditioning right now, as much as is possible for you, do what you want when you want. So maybe a micro example of this right now while we're in quarantine, there's so much content out there about like, here's the best way to schedule your day for productivity. Here are like the things that you should do throughout your day. That's not for you. You're meant to act on your impulses and urges. And as much as you can set up your day with your work or what you're doing with your time, to give yourself space for acting on impulses and not looking to someone else's formula of how you should schedule yourself is a great kind of micro example of something you can do to decondition right now. Don't look for consensus or validation as much as is possible for you and act on that impulse. The next is speak your truth. So this can be in a small setting. It can be to everyone. It could even just be to yourself if you're just getting used to doing it. You know, you might feel called as a manifestor to share on social media something that you're doing or someplace that you're going. I mean, probably not going very far right now, but like something that you're doing. Or share with your, I don't know, text group and just express what you're doing, what you care about. You're going to bring people on board and you're going to fill that desire that others have for you to energetically be the leader. They want to be in the know on what the manifestor is doing. Another thing right now is watching out for shrinking or people pleasing out of fear associated with our current circumstances. So something that I've heard from manifestors recently is, oh, I don't want to ruffle feathers. Like it's a sensitive time at work. I don't really want to speak my mind or speak my truth because I don't want to ruffle any feathers. I don't want to put my job at risk. But if you're speaking your truth and speaking your mind in a conscious, thoughtful way, that's only going to help you because that is what you're meant to do. And that's what's energetically correct for you as a manifestor. Remember that train analogy. Remember that not everyone is going to be for you, but those that are, you don't have to convince and push. Embrace your selective aura. Embrace that it can feel like disapproval. So you can spend a lot of time trying to people please, but that will hold you back. So remember that you're not for everyone, and that's okay. And people that you are for are going to really come on board and be for you. So I wonder if before we move to the next, this is probably the longest explanation of any of the ones we'll go over, but I wonder if there are questions that anyone wants me to take on. There's some good comments coming in. So talked about I've done myself down since someone in my life always made me feel like I was lower. That's so indicative of a manifestor's experience. I feel like I'm too much. These are really part of the awareness that you can build as a manifestor. So now you can decondition using some of this stuff. All right. So now we're going to move on to the generators, and that is probably the biggest. Do manifestors usually get along with other manifestors is a question. So this is interesting. So I would say that manifestors will get along with other manifestors if they can speak their truth and be who they are and not shrink in order to please or be someone that they think another person wants them to. And if they're accepted and that jives, then yeah, they can totally get along. The thing is, both manifestors have to feel that they're in their power and feel that they can fully like express their truth and not be someone else, compromise, people please in any way. So then that's a good environment or recipe to get along. There's a lot of other interesting things, and you can look at your human design lines and channels, and that helps you understand your relationships as well. So if you want to go deeper with human design, that's actually something that I do in my work. We can totally go deeper there and look at those channels. Okay, so now we are going to talk about generators. Generators are a pure life force in motion. They are a naturally attracting kind of juicy aura that are meant to light up and light others up and create energy for the world. So before I go into the slide again, actually, I'm going to just kind of describe this and talk to you guys about what a generator is. So if we're talking about pure generators, those are about 35%-ish of the population, the other and another 35%-ish manifesting generators. So generators are a big percent of the population, and there's a lot of nuance within that. But right now we're talking about pure generators. So think about this. What makes us different as humans is that we have so much, compared to like all the other organisms and things out in the world, is that we have so much power over our choices and our preferences. And we have desires that we can fulfill. So generators are here to explore what it's like to have desires and what it's like to fulfill those. The thing is, for generators, when we are giving energy to things we love, we have endless energy and we create energy for the world around us and for the people around us. But the thing is, when you're saying yes to too many things that are actually a no for you, as a generator, you're going to feel really drained and burned out. So while generators are the natural doers and hustlers of society, and when they're aligned, you can really have endless energy. As a generator, you probably think about, what's the thing that I do in my life that I can like totally lose track of time and do and totally get lost in? That's the thing that you're meant to continue doing more of, and that can be a guidepost for you. But when you're doing so much of what you don't want to be doing, and a lot of generators are in this place right now, that's why we have a lot of drained generators and totally burnt out and worn down generators walking around this earth. So this work is part of what can help us decondition. So biggest conditioning from the outside world for a generator, and this like totally hit home for me, and I think that this really resonates with a lot of people, is that you get told from childhood that like you have to do things you don't enjoy, that you have to do things for other people, and that's the only way to help others is like by doing these things. And you have gotten praised maybe for doing things that you don't want to do or compromising. So maybe the people in your life as a child gave you praise for doing things you didn't want to do, and then you associated your worth with doing those things, with self-sacrificing, with over-compromise, and maybe even in the more dramatic or extreme case, like having that like martyr kind of dynamic or personality or approach. But really this idea that you have to do things that you don't want, and that's part of life and what you need to do. But that's not the case really for generators, because when a generator is lit up, they generate a juicy and sparkly energy that lights everyone up around them. And that's the best thing that they can give to other people, way more than doing something for someone else that they don't want to do. This is their real gift to people and to the world. So the strategy for a generator, remember we said the strategy for a manifestor is to inform based on acting on those impulses and urges. The strategy for a generator is to respond. And responding is different than what we can be taught, that like if you want something, you just have to like go reach out, initiate, go get it. But it doesn't work as well for generators. Generators are truly like dancing with all of the different parts of life. But responding doesn't mean that like you're getting an invitation. It just means that you feel some type of visceral response or reaction to a thing. And that response that you have, so that level of excitement that you have, is what tells you that you're meant to like follow that line or do that thing. So being a generator is really visceral. So think about like standing up. What makes you stand up or sit up a little bit straighter, or say, ooh, like that's interesting, or just like gets your juices flowing. It doesn't have to be that something falls on your lap. It could be that you read about something, you see someone doing something really cool, you see something on social media. These are all indicators to you, if you feel excited about them, to like follow that, and you're meant to do something with that, spend more of your energy on that. So generators are meant to use their sacral, which is a really visceral body response. And they respond well, we respond well to yes-no questions. So you can ask yourself, like, what does the yes feel like in my body? What does the no feel like in my body? So that is going to be really, really helpful for you to make decisions as a generator. One thing to keep in mind, if you're a generator that has emotional authority versus sacral authority, you do get emotional highs and lows, and those are going to be normal for you. So it can present or feel a little bit like a kind of an indecisiveness, but the trick here is let your emotions pass through you. So if you have emotional authority, find ways that you can let your emotions release and pass through you, like have a good cry, yell, dance. Once that emotion passes through your body, you'll have emotional clarity, and then you can start doing the sacral yes/no response, which is going to really be helpful for you in making decisions. So just don't make decisions when you're in your feelings. Find ways to let them pass through you. So the biggest thing that a generator can do is clear out the things that you're doing in your life that are no's, so there's more room for the yeses. Because when you're doing too many no's, there's not room for the yeses to come through. And it can feel scary for a period of time, because like generators can feel like, I'm not really spending my time or my focus on anything. I mean, to the extent that we can. But sometimes when you pivot from the negative to the positive, there's like a passing neutral on the way. And so many generators stay in that negative because they just want to be doing something, but get comfortable with like that neutral on the way and know that you're just creating an environment for better stuff to come through. And it can be hard because like some people are, for example, in a big way, like maybe you're in a job that you don't like and you want to leave and it's a no for you, but like you, for other reasons, like you can't make a decision or you can't leave it right now. There are a lot of other things that you can do that will help you to clear your aura and build up that muscle. So like, what are the little things that you're doing in your life? And we'll talk about that a little bit in the deconditioning, that you're doing that you can say no to. Like, what is the, I don't know, group Zoom friends call that you're like getting on now in quarantine, but like you don't really feel like it, or the, you know, extracurricular project at work that you took on, but like you really don't see the point or want to do it. What are the small things that you can say no to when they're no's, and then you'll build up that muscle to say, to do it in the bigger ways. The not self theme for a generator is frustration. So if you feel frustration, that means things are not in flow for you. Things aren't moving, like you're giving a lot of energy to something and you're not really getting a lot back. So notice that and use that as a guidepost for you, that when you're feeling frustration, it's time for you to revisit, what am I saying yes to that's actually a no? And that's going to be the biggest thing to put you on your path. Now, a couple of generators now in the modern world that I think are excellent examples. Beyonce is a generator. Albert Einstein was a generator. John Lennon was a generator. And I think these are excellent examples because they're true cases of people who found something that they were obsessed with and loved and went all in and brought everyone else up and lit other people up and made great contributions to society, because they just went all in on that thing that they really loved and lit, or loved and lights them up or lit them up. So I'm going to share and talk a little bit about the deconditioning, and then if anyone has any questions. Okay. So deconditioning for a generator, I talked about this a little bit already, but the biggest thing you can do, I will say it again, is clear out the things that are no's. Understand using your visceral yes/no response, or even like closed-ended this or that response. What does a hell yes to you really feel like? And cultivate more of those hell yeses in your life, and more you'll build your trust muscle to say no to anything that's not a hell yes. Ask yourself where you're shoulding and saying like, this is what I should be doing. I need to do this. Like I need to compromise. I need to self-sacrifice, and cut that out as much as you can. Really reflect or like journal on what are the ways that I'm self-sacrificing, that I'm like giving away a part of myself that, or betraying myself that doesn't feel right or aligned to me. And you're going to be able to get a lot of clarity from that. So these are the biggest things that you can do now, and think about like, what are the ways that I can do these in micro ways to start out during this time where we're in quarantine and have all these limitations. And then on the other side of this, you're going to be in a really great place to, again, have more of that trust muscle built up. Lean into the visceral response because it really, really is a gift. Are there questions, thoughts on generators? Okay, we'll move on to manifesting generators, which, you guessed it, is a combination of both. So I will share the slide for a sec, and then I will talk to you guys. I think that we'll probably stick to then doing manifesting generators and the projectors, because there's no reflectors on this call, and then we can hand it over to Serena. Okay. Oops. Manifestors. If you haven't guessed it already, manifesting generators are a combination of the manifestor and the generator. When they are living energetically correctly, they can be superhuman. So they're like 32 to 35% of the population. Like I mentioned, the other side of the generator pie versus our pure generators and manifesting generators. They have both the ability to initiate like a manifestor and the ability to make it happen like a generator. So it's really powerful. It's important for a manifesting generator to embrace your right and ability to change your mind as you go, and to train the people in your life that that's going to be how you operate, whether that be in your work, letting them know that you're going to make a pass through something and then come back to it later. Because there really is this very real push-pull between acting on an impulse and waiting for a gut feeling. Is this like following an instinct or a gut feeling? Okay. So the generator, manifesting generator is a generator. So that respond is more aligned to what you should be thinking about as a manifesting generator versus the pure impulse urge that you can't explain. So in this case, you are still a generator, but you've got some of these manifestor qualities. So think about that. The strategy is to respond primarily just like a generator. So that was a question that we got. So you have this push-pull between acting on impulse and waiting for gut feelings. And there's conditioning. I'm gonna unshare this. So there's the conditioning is that you need to, make a decision and stick with it and can't change your mind as you go. But know that it's okay for you to course correct, make decisions, and then go back and refine. So manifesting generators can get a lot done in a short period of time. So the amount of work they can do compared to non-manifesting generators, they can do it in half the time or less, because they have the ability to see shortcuts, which makes them really efficient, and they can move at like a warp speed, but they can often miss steps or make little mistakes or errors because they need to and enjoy having multiple things going on at once. So again, being okay and owning that you're going to do that and training people in that up front is really going to be helpful for you. Generators or other energy types can kind of sometimes be judgmental toward the manifesting generator, because they can be told that they need to stick to one thing or finish what they started, or they can be told that they're all over the place. And because manifesting generators can get this messaging, it can condition them to be convinced that it's not good enough to be good at lots of things. It's better to be great at one thing. And a manifesting generator does tend to be in the camp of being good at lots of things versus an expert at one. Remember that you have both manifestor and generator inside of you. And you can check to see which one you're slightly more of. So anytime you have lines from your sacral chakra to your throat chakra, that's a sign that you have that manifestor connection, you have that manifesting energy, and are meant to like really use your voice. If you don't have that direct connection, you're more of the generator dominant energy. So manifesting generators do have a lot of energy to get through every day. One thing that's interesting about manifesting generators is around food and conditioning around that. So manifesting generators need to eat more. They tend to eat faster than others. And parents of manifesting generator children need to be careful about what messaging they give their children about food, because if they give the message that they're eating too much or in a way that's maybe not aligned with what they expect, they can internalize that and end up having some kind of like food shaming or like relationship to food that is not ideal. So manifesting generators have this like already built-in sense of how much fuel they need and how they should operate according to their appetite. And so just really listen to that, even if that looks like it's different than how other people are eating or scheduling the way that they eat, what that looks like. So keep that in mind, and keep that in mind if you're a parent of a manifesting generator child. Manifesting generators also need regular exercise. So if a manifesting generator feels stuck. They need to be able to use that energy and feel that energy move through their bodies. So that's a little bit about manifesting generators overall. Manifesting generators can have diverse identities, like we talked about. Like, they can be good at multiple things and want to fully like go all in on multiple things. So two, I think, great examples of manifesting generators that do that are Angelina Jolie and Jessica Alba are both manifesting generators. And I pull these out because they're good examples of diverse identities. So Angelina Jolie is known just as much as for her acting as she is for her humanitarian work, where Jessica Alba is just as known for her acting as for being a CEO of The Honest Company. And so think about, like, do you have diverse identities? Are there multiple things you want to embrace about yourself? Those are really important as a manifesting generator. So now I'm going to share the deconditioning for a manifesting generator. So manifesting generator deconditioning is similar to, you can apply those things that we talked about for a generator overall, what lights you up, what gives you energy, clearing the space for the yeses to come in. So we already talked about that. That applies to you here as a manifesting generator. What's different that I'll underscore again is that it's important for you to leave room to change your mind, to know that you're going to go back. Train the people in your life that it's okay to work quickly and refine later. And the other thing that's important for you is recognize and celebrate small wins and accomplishments. So because as a manifesting generator, you may not be working up toward this big milestone all the time. You may be doing lots of things at once and getting lots of things done. Find ways to celebrate your success of those little micro wins and those little things that you're getting done and accomplishing throughout the day. That's going to help you embrace your energy and build your trust muscle with yourself, that it's okay, it's great to be how you are. So that's manifesting generators. I'm going to look and see, are there any questions on manifesting generators? Otherwise, we will get to projectors, which is the last one that we'll go over, so that I can hand it over to Serena. Okay, projectors. So I know we had at least one projector on the call. Okay. Projectors. Projectors are about 20% of the population, so not small. They are here to be guides for the tribe. They have an ability to see things the way that others cannot. So they tend to be good at assessing systems, seeing improvements, being able to understand and assess people and dynamics. But unlike the manifestors, the generators, and the manifesting generators that we talked about, who are here to create energy, projectors are what's called non-energy beings, and they are meant to refine versus creating energy. So you can think about a projector as almost a bird in the tree that everyone can look up to and ask if they're going the right way. They are meant to be slower. They're meant to be a little more methodical. So projector energy is about waiting for someone to invite or ask you for this insight, for this unique way that you can see things that others can't. And once this starts to happen, it'll build and it'll become more and more. So you kind of, again, build up that muscle. So waiting for an invitation, it's not like this golden invitation is going to come in the mail and fall in your lap. It's an energetic invitation. So it's, if you're a projector, it's important to pay attention to the energetics of who around you sees you clearly, who respects you. Where can you like flex your energetic muscle, and then you'll kind of continue to learn. And when we talk about waiting for an invitation, it's about feeling into where you have the energetic invitation and then beginning to share. So that'll continue to build. So a challenge for a projector is that they can try to prove that they can hustle and keep up with the rest of the world, keep up with the manifestors and the generators and the MGs. But projectors have inconsistent energy. And they can easily spend their time beating themselves up over the fact that they can't just make things happen like some of the other energy types. But remember that they're not meant to do that. It's common for a projector to be impatient, but once you kind of begin to play into this role and flex this energetic muscle, you'll experience less and less of that. So know that as a projector, your best investment of your energy is to work on your self-awareness, your awareness of yourself. What practices help you understand yourself better? Ask yourself, what are you good at? Like, what do you see differently that others people don't? And you'll tend to have, a lot of projectors tend to have a niche or something that specifically they're really good at. And it can be difficult because we can be taught, and this is one of the conditioning things that can appear particularly for a projector, that the things that come easy to us are things that like aren't valuable, that we like shouldn't really pay attention to. So a projector can be here seeing something in a different way or being able to spot systems, the way something works differently, but they totally discount it because they think, oh, well, that's come so easy to me, like that can't be important, that can't be valuable. But remember that your unique perspective is really valuable, and just because something comes easy to you is not a reason to discount it. It's actually a reason to play into it even more. So if we think about how we're conditioning from childhood, if you've been parented correctly, you'd be told that the things that you should pay attention to are the things that come really easy to you. Think about the things that you're fascinated by, and that's also going to help you and be a guidepost for you to understand what it is that you're really here to help others with and see differently. So projectors, like I said, tend to be really good and can kind of become obsessed or, really fascinated by systems, processes, understanding how things work. And for projectors, remember I said that their energy works differently. They have inconsistent energy. It's not about working less. It's that their energy looks different. So projectors find the most flow, if we're talking about work, when they're sharing their knowledge to help other people succeed. So every projector has a niche where they're seeing something really clearly in a whole new way. And it's not like a generator where it's about desire. It's about helping other people advance their desire and do better. So projectors can often thrive in the role of a coach, of a manager who has a coach type approach to managing their team. Teachers, but they can use it in any job. One thing to note on the aura, remember we talked about with manifestors, the aura is selective. With generators, it is attracting. And with projectors, they have an aura that's really penetrating and does really well one-on-one. So especially when you're getting started and flexing your muscle of being able to share your wisdom or the way you see things as a projector, one thing that you can do is at first try like operating one-on-one or in small groups and share your wisdom that way, because you'll be able to really like penetrate your wisdom and aura in a way that is better received or like more openly received when you're doing that. And you'll be able to tailor what it is to help them see whatever it is that you're sharing clearly. So that's something to keep in mind as a projector. The not self theme as a projector is bitterness. So because projectors see things differently, they can tend to overly fixate on why other people are doing what they're doing, or get, feel like this bitterness toward like, everything is wrong, like they're doing it wrong, like it shouldn't be this way. But remember that you can turn that on its positive by turning a frustration or bitterness into a fascination and curiosity. So when you feel yourself as a projector having that bitterness come up, check yourself and say, how can I get curious about this and imagine how might it be? And then find ways to tap into where someone is energetically open to you and share that, if that makes sense. So a couple of famous projectors that I love sharing, who are great examples of how you can be a leader in seeing things differently as a projector, are Barack Obama was a projector, or is a projector, sorry, and Nelson Mandela was a projector. So they're great examples of people who led in a very different kind of way than we had seen before, by using the way that they saw things differently and sharing that with others. I mean, we saw Yes We Can, we saw all of the wonderful world-changing work that Nelson Mandela did. One thing I will say about Barack Obama that's interesting is that as a president, you do have to operate in some ways that might not be totally, or I mean, I guess maybe not have to, but you do operate in some ways that might not feel really authentic and natural for a projector. But that's how it goes in the role of a president. And maybe have to tap into like some energy that feels more like a manifestor, for example, or more like a generator. So if you look at pictures, and so that can be really draining. So if you look at pictures of Barack Obama, when he started his presidency to when he completed his presidency, he aged in those 8 years probably more than any president that we have seen. And a big part of that is related to the fact that when you're operating outside of your energy, that's going to make you feel drained in those ways more and more. So I think that that is a really interesting thing to look at in the context of, operating and what happens when you don't operate in the energy that is unique to you. So we've gone through manifestors, generators, manifesting generators, and projectors. I'm going to skip reflectors in the interest of time, and because no one on this call is a reflector. One thing I'll say is that reflectors have none of their energy centers filled in. So they take in energy from the outside world more than anyone, more than any of the other types. So that's something to explore and look into a little bit more. One thing really quickly that I will share before handing it over to Serena is projector deconditioning. What can you do right now and always to decondition as a projector or help your projector friends decondition? Observe. What works? What is working well? What comes easy to you? How can you look at what can be improved through that lens of fascination and what could be, what might be? When you do engage with someone, do your best to make those interactions one-on-one. You're going to have the best outcomes when you do that, especially at the beginning. And remember that honing your specific skill set, even if it feels like something that's not worthwhile to you, is where you're going to see the most impact and value and return. So think about what practices in your life help you understand yourself better. Journal about it. That's going to help you to uncover your skills and gifts and operate in your projector energy. So thanks for all your questions and sharing. I hope this was useful to you. You can still share questions or reach out to me. I'm going to hand it over to Serena now, who's going to talk about what she's going to lead us through. And yep, I got one. The person who just messaged me privately, I will respond to you separately, and I will hand it over to Serena now. So thanks, everyone.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Stefania. That was so much good information, and I really enjoyed learning more about human design in general. I don't know much. My name is Serena, and I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner and a sound therapist. And I help people understand the connection between their inner voice and their outer expression, and what of that is an intuitive feeling versus kind of us having a run-of-the-mill kind of thought that we should act upon. So it really much ties into what Stefania was talking about in terms of energy centers. Real quick question for everyone, you can type it in or just raise your hand. How many people know what Ayurveda is or have heard of it? Heard of it. Great, great. So for those of you who don't know, Ayurveda is an Eastern Indian science, and it basically follows the laws of nature. So it is saying that everything that exists in our environment is made up of one of the 5 elements or combination of all: earth, air, fire, water, and ether. And so are we. And as humans and as beings, we're actually taking in information through our five senses. And Ayurveda says that when we have clear channels through our five senses, then we can actually create a perfect balance in our environment to sustain our health. So it's kind of a preventative measure for health. And one of those five senses is our sense of sound and what we're hearing and what we're constantly being stimulated with in terms of the frequencies that are going on. Right now, there's a lot of news that we're watching maybe sometimes, or just events in general of what's happening as this COVID thing is unfolding. And we're becoming very overstimulated with what we're actually picking up. And something interesting about sound is that we don't just hear sound with our ears. We actually hear sound through our bones first. So it's conducting through our entire body. And then we're actually listening to that sound. So sometimes when you say something like, oh, this person has a really good vibe, I can feel it. It's actually you feeling that energy and frequency of that person. I don't have enough time to go into a very long sound experience, but I wanted to tell everyone here that it's very important to release energy through this sense, meaning that you're always listening to music in some level, or maybe someone's giving you a sound bath and it's relaxing, and you're able to see the affect on your brain with what the sound does. But there's something very important about using your voice, especially right now, and releasing sound through it. So right now we're having to connect virtually, and we're learning this new way of really reading people's energy and understanding and having true connection via this platform of technology. And when we are talking, we're using our frequency, our God-given, born right frequency of our voice. And if we are muting that in any way or not, tapping into our own expression, it can become muddled and overstimulated very easily. Secondly, Ayurveda and many even modern ways of looking at health systems says that all disease, even physical disease, is caused by stress. And when you make sound with your body, you are activating the third largest cranial nerve in our system. It's called the vagus nerve. It goes from the top of the head all the way down to the middle of the diaphragm. And you're literally vibrating that when you actively make sound. And consistent sound can actually downshift your brainwave pattern. So what that means is that when we're meditating silently or going inward or even exercising for an hour, we're trying to downshift our brainwave patterns so that it's actually in a receptive place, which is actually in this theta state of mind. So every 3.5 minutes of you consistently making sound, all the way down to 23 minutes, is actually downshifting your brainwave pattern into this theta state, which happens naturally for us the last 2 hours of our sleep cycle. And then also when we're actively meditating, our goal is to get into this state. So that's the one thing I want to leave with you is, even if you can set a timer on your phone for 3.5 minutes and literally take deep breaths and hum simply to yourself, you will feel a difference, and you will be activating your vagus nerve. So I wanted to, because we have about 6 minutes left and I don't want to go over time, I wanted to just do a little breathing and sound exercise with you. And if you can just make sure that you're all on mute besides me, I think everyone is, I'll just go ahead and lead everyone in like a just small experiential exercise, and you can then maybe have a couple minutes to talk about the shift in energy. So if everyone could take their right hand and plug their right nostril with their thumb, and just take a deep inhale on the left side. And then when you get to the top, plug both nostrils. And just hold your breath. And push out the other side. So you should have this left nostril plugged. Go ahead and take your time, take a deep breath, let your belly expand. And plug. And push. And one more time on this side. And plug. And push. And one last time on this side, deep breath, take your time. And plug. And push. Go ahead and use the full power of your nose. Take a deep inhale in. And this time I want you to exhale on a snake-like sound like this. One more time, as if you have infinite air. Deep breath and release. One last time, just like that. Beautiful. On your next inhale, I want you to continue to make that snake-like sound, but let your voice meet your breath. So deep inhale. Let whatever comes out come out. Deep breath. Beautiful. Go ahead and just shake everything out. Shake all of your energy out. Just shake it out. So I wanted to walk us through a bond meditation. It's pre-Buddhist times. It's called the Warrior Seed Syllables, but we don't have time right now. So what I'd like to do is end with one of the seed syllables so that we can feel grounded with all of this beautiful information that Stefania shared with us. And that seed syllable is a root chakra. And this seed syllable is D-Z-A, pronounced za. And so what I'd like to do just 3 or 4 times, I want you to see how that feels in your body, to feel the root of your body, your sits bones, and what this does in that area. It should vibrate. So deep breath, and whatever note comes out is fine. Za. 3 more times, just like that. Deep inhale. Za. Za. And last one. Za. And go ahead and just finish with one last breath on the snake-like sound. So activating your own frequency is really, really important. And I'm going to leave my website here. I love working with people and helping them transmute energy through sound. And I'm offering a free 45-minute kind of wellness session where I would analyze your tongue and let you know Ayurvedically what I'm seeing and give you a few tips just for you to kind of set into your daily routine with what might be helpful during this time. So if you're interested, you can just go to my website and click on book appointment and it'll pop up my calendar. And in the interest of time, it's 3 p.m. So I wanted to just hand it back to Simran and thank you guys all for joining.
Kind of like the perfect way to end a Thursday. Is it a Thursday? No one knows what days it is anymore. So as I said, that we are doing a wellness talk every Thursday at 3 o'clock. So stay tuned for our next one. And we also have tons of events. So if you sign up on our website for our newsletter, I'll put our website in the chat box. You will be able to be informed of everything that's going on with us. All right, everyone, take care and have a good rest of the day. Bye.